What is up, everybody? So we're just going to jump right into today's topic. Hopefully you are aware by now of the release of the BDR's newest release, newest route, which is the I don't know if they're calling it Southeast Backcountry Discovery Route or just South. I should know, I've downloaded the route. But anyways, I just wanted to get your opinions. You know, this isn't really something we've had in the Southeast anyways, you know, any BDR routes. And I'm eyeballing that route. I don't want to back myself into a corner and try to say when, but possibly sometime this fall. If not, I definitely want to squeeze it in next year for sure. And I've watched their video. You can check it out on YouTube. I'm not looking to do the whole route, maybe at some point in time, but I'm just eyeballing for now from the coast to the Georgia state line, which doesn't seem like far. It crosses from Alabama into Georgia, you know, I won't say a long way from Tennessee, but you know, it's not like it right at the Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama terminus there. It's a little further south, but because the route heads north and a little bit northwest prior to, you know, as it gets close to the middle of the state around Montgomery area, and then it cuts back and runs northeast. And because of that, to get from the coast to, there's a check mark just across the Georgia state line, and that section of the route is 515 miles, and I'm wanting to try to do it in one day. That might sound a little ambitious, but that's what, not that I need to do it in one day, or I ain't got time, can't take time away to do it in more than that, but and I'm also being generous when I say one day. I'm talking about going down there the day before, waking up and having the bike running at the start, at the absolute break of dawn, already on the bike going, and then probably finishing, depending on the time of year exactly, probably going to be finishing in the dark, maybe dusk. This isn't the outback of Australia where you can take a T7 in the middle of nowhere and just be running 85, 90 miles an hour and turn off, you know, 800 miles in a really long day. So yeah, it might be a little ambitious, but I think it's doable. You know, there's pavement mixed in there. There's also some slower spots. It runs through Talladega National Forest, which I've never ridden through. I've seen some footage of it, and it's definitely would be slower going through that area for sure. And that is also not crazy far from being, I mean, you'd be on the last leg of it as you exited Talladega National Forest, which is actually two separate, it's all considered Talladega National Forest, but there's a section over here and then there's a section over here. I'm referring to the section closest to the Georgia line. And if it didn't look like you was going to make it, there's definitely plenty of places to stop and camp around that area, and you can just accept defeat and then finish what little bit you got left the next morning, and then I could turn it northwest and ride on home the following day, which is when I'd be arriving home anyway. if I was to complete that entire, I'll call it the Alabama section. If I was to complete the Alabama section in one day and be successful at it, I would be camping at the end of that day, that night anyway, and then riding home the next morning. So, you know, could do it. You know, wouldn't be a problem to stop somewhere. But anyways, what do you guys think? Not much of a video for you, but I've been eyeballing that hard for the last week or so, ever since I seen the route get posted. And I think it'd be just a neat challenge to try to do that section in a day. Like I said, 515 miles, so I just think it would be a fun challenge to try to do. You'd definitely be doing it solo. I could think of a couple people that would be not only crazy enough, but also capable of, you know, doing it in a group setting where everyone is on board, with the time constraint that you're voluntarily putting yourself under, and everybody is, you know, trying to be quick. You know, you'd be stopping for fuel, obviously, and when you do stop for fuel, eat a snack, use the bathroom, fill up the Camelback, and then right back on the road. And you'd be doing that from sun up to sundown, I'm guessing. The longest day I've ever done, that was a dual sport day, is probably around half of that 515 miles. But, you know, there's longer stops in there, larger group, not really pushing the pace, not wanting to run off and leave anybody. So, looking at doubling the distance of probably the longest dual sport ride I've ever done that involved a good bit of dirt road travel. So it may, tell me in the comments if it seems crazy or undoable. I think it's doable. The only downside to bringing other people, if you do have people that you would trust to make that kind of speedy trip alongside you, is, let's say you bring 2 other people, let's say it's a group of 3. You know, if something goes wrong, and you're by yourself, obviously having 2 other people there to help would be helpful. And I'm just talking about, like, if you have a mechanical failure, you have a flat tire, that's probably most likely, I hope, the biggest problem you'd run into. And obviously having people there to help you change that, you could do it a little faster and quicker and get back on the road. But if you're talking about wasting an hour at best to change a tire, you're probably no longer making it in a day unless you're rolling in the dark at the finish. So the only other, the downside of going in a small group would be there's 3 bikes. So now there's 6 tires that could possibly pick up a flat, and there's 3 bikes that could possibly, you know, have some kind of other malfunction, and that just ruin it for everybody. So solo, 1 person, 1 bike, 515 miles. Again, not the Australian outback, so you gotta obey speed limits. But you definitely ain't gonna be out there running triple digits anywhere. Also having to navigate it as you go, and again, I'll say it again, not the Australian outback. It's not 100 kilometers, 300 kilometers between turns. So you can't just kind of tune out and be like, oh, I'm going to follow this road for the next 4 hours or whatever. So I don't know, maybe a little ambitious. I'm eyeballing it, and I may make a follow-up video in the future with if I actually think I'm going to attempt it. I'm not even 100% sure I would attempt it on the T7. I maybe would want something a little lighter, an actual Deal Sport. So, we'll see. But let me know what you think in the comments.